you ever taken an MBTI test and thought, hey, I've gotten 3 different personalities in the last month. Am I broken? Don't worry, you're not the problem, the test is. Today we're going to find out 5 of the most common reasons people mistype themselves and how to finally figure out your real personality. As always, I will leave videos like this one linked above. I have a video explaining all the different MBTI types, and I will leave that one up in the cards above so that you can find it and figure out more about your personality type after you figure out which one you are. Mistake number 1, you're answering the questions based on who you want to be versus who you actually are. Most people don't answer honestly, not because you're lying, but because they imagine their ideal self. And I have honestly made this same mistake. I have mistyped myself on 2 different occasions. When I didn't know anything about MBTI, I mistyped myself twice. First as an ISTP and then an INFJ, which now that I'm looking back was way off. You know the version of you that's confident, super organized, social, but MBTI isn't about who you wish you were. It's about how your brain naturally operates. For example, if you picture yourself in your best mood, your best organized self, you might come up with the personality ENTJ. Just throwing this out there. You might come up with ENTJ when you're actually an INFP. So answering on who you want to be versus who you actually are can make a huge difference with the test. So what you need to do is go into the test with it already in your mind that you're going to answer the questions based on who you actually are versus who you want to be. Number 2, you might be confusing traits with functions. MBTI isn't about surface traits, like being quiet versus outgoing. It's about cognitive functions. We process information and make decisions. Example, INFJs and INFPs are both introvert feeling types, but they think in completely different ways. INFJs use introverted intuition, while INFPs use introverted feeling. So it's really about it's really about functions versus traits. So if you're going based on I have feeling and I have introversion, that's a really bad way to type yourself. You're gonna wind up getting a personality totally different from the one you have. Number 3, you're taking random online tests. Get it, free tests online are so much fun, but are they 100% accurate? No. Most of them probably aren't tested by people. They're just thrown out there to be entertaining. You need to actually find a test that has accurate results and people know it works. These random tests capture your behavior and not the motive behind your behavior, meaning that you're putting in the answers. Even if you're answering honestly, you're putting in the answers, right? And this test could still type you completely wrong because it's reading from your behaviors and not the actions behind them or the decision process behind those answers. So when looking for a free test, you want to make sure that the test is answering or asking the right questions, like when you do this, how's this work? Or when you're making this decision, how do you do that? Now, there is one free test, and I'm not sponsoring them at all, but there is one free test that I use, which is 16personalities.com. It is a pretty good test. I would say with any free test, none of them are going to be 100% accurate. You're probably going to go for like 80% accuracy. That's why when taking the test, I also like to back it up with maybe watching a YouTube video telling you about that personality type so you can see if it lines up. 4, you're confusing introversion with shyness. That's a big one, okay? So, for example, you could be a very shy person, but you could be an extrovert. I have met so many people who are like, oh, that might be an introvert, but it just turns out they're shy. So just because you're shy does not make you an introvert. The difference between extroversion and introversion is this. Extroverted people are going to get energy from talking and hanging out with people. So like after a busy work day, an extrovert might want to go hang out with some friends, right? An introvert is going to be exhausted from hanging out with people. So that's just how they get energy. The extrovert gets energy from hanging out with people. The introvert gets energy from being alone. So being introvert does not make you shy either. So you can be like the biggest introvert ever and not be shy. That is not what that means. I can go out somewhere and have a full conversation with people and they go, "What? You are an introvert?" It's not about being quiet. That's what a lot of people get wrong. And a lot of people have said this to me, you're not an introvert, you talk too much. But I'm like, it's not about how much you talk. And this is like the biggest misconception. And it honestly upsets me because I'm like, I am an introvert. I just like talking. Like, it's okay to talk and be an introvert, which is a big one that people miss or confuse. So if you're taking the test and you're going, I'm really shy, I'm an introvert, don't go based on that. You're an introvert if you get drained after talking with people. You're an extrovert if you get energy after talking with people. Number 5, you've changed and that's okay. So some of the time you may have taken the personality test when you were a teenager. Say you took it when you were a teenager and then you take it like 5 years later and you're something else. That is okay, because when you are growing up, your personality is going to go through key changes. So if you are a INTJ, you may later on in your life become like an INFJ. It just depends on which ones you use more. So during your development, you are going to have choices and decisions that are really going to impact your personality. So say for instance, you have a choice to be empathy. And you're at a crossroad, right? Do I use empathy and help this person, or do I just leave them alone? Like, it's not like a huge thing. I don't need to go help them, but I could if I could. Those are going to be your split roads that are going to help your development. So you're going to have to choose whether you want to go more towards the feeling side or the thinking side. And same with the extroversion and introversion. You can also change that during your development. Not change it, but it could change over time depending on what decision you take during those crossroads. It is very crucial to your development. That is why there are so many decisions. So whichever decision you make is going to heavily impact your personality. So that is also why it might change. So if your personality has changed in the last 5 years and you took it like when you were a teenager in your 20s and then you become more introverted, that's okay. It happens all the time. But I would have to say that if your personality has made a very drastic change, like you've gone from, let's say, INFJ to ENTJ, I might take a look at that because that's really far off. But if your personality has changed like a little bit of lettering here and there, just not huge drastic changes, but like say one letter changes, okay, some of the percentages change, that's okay. Just don't make a full personality change. If that happens, that usually means you're unhealthy or like masking or something like that. It could be because you're chameleoning. That's the word I came up with just now. It means you're trying to be somebody who you're not, which goes back to one of the other topics I talked about in this video. So just look out for that. So guys, anyway, I hope this video really helped you. Drop your biggest MBTI confusions down in the comments. Let me know the differences in MBTI you've gotten over the years. Like I said, I've gotten 3 different types now, which is crazy. First it was ISTP, INFJ, and now I'm an INTJ. So let me know your biggest mistypes down in the comments below. I'm really excited to hear them. We can bond and chat about MBTI all day long. I could talk for hours. But this video would be crazy long if I continued rambling like I am right now. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.